Why, hello there. By chance or by force, you've chosen one of Wilcox Media's finest productions. Possibly, it may even be the most riveting documentary you've ever had the fortune to come across. I would like to welcome you now to Jason's journey through time and taste, where we travel in time to ancient cultures to see what life was really like for them. Today, we are looking at the impact of Hellenization on Palestine and the East. Now, you may not even know what that is, but we'll go into that further. In particular, we're looking at its effect on a race of people called the Jews. Now, at first glance, you might not think that this is the most riveting topic, but you're in for a real treat today. We're taking you back to a time of great battles, forging of empires, fine food, illustrious kings, pretty ladies, immense change, really angry locals, that sort of thing. Well, we've only got you for a very short amount of time, so let's just dive straight into it. We're back in ancient Greece, back all the way from time. Look at it, it's beautiful, isn't it? And this is where we begin our story of Hellenization. So in case you didn't know, Hellenization really is just a spread of Greek culture and the way of life. It can be anything from the Greek way of thinking, all the way over to Greek language, the spread of Greek ideas, Greek coinage, even Greek entertainment. Now, if you've seen the My Big Fat Greek Wedding movies, it's likely you've been a victim or a privileged recipient, depending on your point of view or your taste, of Hellenization. The root part of the word Hellenization is Hellas, which means Greek. So if you're eating Greek food, speaking a Greek language, looking at Greek money, watching Greek movies, that's Hellenization. So here we are in ancient Greece, 336 BC to be exact, and we just had this big tough guy, Philip of Macedon. He's the current king of Macedonia, which is one of the northern Greek city-states. Now he's just done something intriguing, interesting. He's gone through all the trouble of uniting all the Greek city-states, and it was pretty amazing because no one had ever done that before. But then Philip dies. He's assassinated. I mean, look at that eye patch. That's the product of a former assassination attempt on his life. Major deflation, right? What's going to happen to all his big dreams? But not to fear. Philip's young son is ready to carry on Philip's dreams of a powerful Greek empire. The name of the son? Alexander III. His more well-known name is Alexander the Great. Now, before Alexander can carry on his dreams of a grand Persian empire with all Greeks united as one, Alexander's got a few things to take care of at home before he begins this great big expedition. Now, fortunately, we've discovered Alexander's ancient to-do list. We just dug it up today. Now, it's really interesting what it says. First off, he says, feed Bucephalus, and there's his horse. That's his favorite horse. Now, pay Aristotle. That was his teacher. Famous guy, you might have heard of him. These are a few housekeeping issues he's going to take care of first. Unite the Greek city-states. So that was on his agenda. But the big one he obviously cared about, look how much passion he put in this, is this. Get the Persians. And it's got a little Persian man down there with a big red cross going through him. So obviously this is something that was really important to Alexander. For the last 150 years, the Persian Empire had been the biggest, baddest empire Greece had ever had. Persians had tried to invade Greece twice over the last 150 years, but every time the Greeks managed to fight them off. Great casualties, but nonetheless they managed to destroy a far greater Persian army. So now it was time for revenge. Alexander had finally gotten together all the Greek city-states, and now he had a modest army of about 37,000 warriors, and the time is 334 BC, and now he started his own invasion of the Persian Empire. Now, Alexander had some things going against him. Not only was he always in enemy territory, but he always faced armies far greater than that of his own. He sometimes faced Persian armies of Darius III, numbering up to 500,000 troops. But Alexander always came out on top. Was it his military genius, divine providence, or just plain old luck? The debate continues. But he always found himself the laughing stock of the Persians. They thought, how could this little Greek army led by this young Greek boy come and beat our grand armies? But as you're about to see, that's exactly what happened. Oh, look at that little Greek boy. Thinks he can take us. So as you've just seen, Alexander and his Greek army has just given the Persians quite a beating, and everywhere he went he spread Greek culture. So with Alexander's conquest came a wealth of Greek culture, and he encouraged Hellenization to the fullest extent, renaming entire conquered cities with Greek names and founding completely new cities wherever his armies went. And the cities he conquered were transformed to resemble the great Greek city-states, also known as a polis, from back home, such as Athens. They all came complete with a gymnasium, a lyceum, which is a school, theatres, temples, hippodromes, which are racing arenas. Alexander's engineers spared no expense in transforming existing cities with traditional Greek city planning, exposing the native populaces to the power of Greek theatre and wares in the agora, which is the Greek marketplace. It's even recorded that young Alexander allowed some of his soldiers who were part of his army to settle in these places and marry the local women, while he and the rest of the army continued onwards. But that was Alexander's endgame, spreading Greek culture that would forever change the world and cause Greece to always have a safe foothold in this new world. He could make Greek culture so popular that the locals and natives would beg to be allowed to be part of this new advanced society. And that's exactly what happened. We see time and time again, especially the local elite, encouraging Greek culture amongst their own peoples. They saw adopting Greek culture as a way to not only increase their wealth, but also their own position in this brave new world. In most areas, the natives welcomed Alexander and the culture he brought, because they came to realize that Hellenization did not seek to destroy their own culture, but really enhance it and mix of it, just like putting salt or cream into a big batch of soup. It doesn't destroy it, it just enhances the flavor. Finally a wifey. I can put aside my days in Alexander's army and put away my sword. It's good to finally settle down. Do you like this house I've built for you? Beautiful. Next thing, we're gonna build a lyceum over there, just like Alexander taught me to.
What's a lyceum?
It's a school. And then after that, we're gonna build a gymnasium, and a hippodrome, and an agora, and an iron, and we'll go on and build entire Greek cities. It's gonna be a life. Now, Alexander and his culture being accepted by the local peoples. This was especially true in the case of the people known as the Jews, or the Hebrews who lived in Palestine. It was a tract of land far to the east of Greece. The Jews were known to be fiercely protective of their cultural heritage, and their cultures and traditions set them apart from the rest of the world. They were known for their distrust and separation of anyone who was a non-Jew, a Gentile, they often called them. This monotheistic race welcomed this polytheistic Alexander and hailed him as a hero. In return, he let them worship the way that they wanted to worship. But Greek culture made its move and permeated every part of the Jewish society. And as a surprise, the majority of the Jews were happy to live with Greek culture in their midst, so long as it didn't overstep any of the boundaries of the Jewish belief system known as Judaism. Now, the Jews themselves began to adopt much of the Greek culture. In lyceums around Palestine, like the one I'm about to show you, many young Jewish boys were now learning how to speak and write in Greek. So here we are, we've snuck into one of the lyceums where there's a group of Jewish boys learning to speak the Greek alphabet. It's a huge change for them. Let's go.
Class, we start with the alphabet. So alphabet. This is alpha.
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 Say it again, alpha.
Alpha.
And second is beta.
Beta.
One more time, beta.
Eventually, some of the Jews living in Alexandria, which is in Egypt, were losing their native language of Hebrew altogether. And the Greek ruler of the land commanded that a grand translation be made of their holy book, the Torah, so they could have their own copy of it in Greek. This translation was called the Septagon. And this translation had a big part to play with the Jews living in dispersion out of their native land of Judea in Palestine. And it was vital to even the Christian movement that arose in the 1st century AD, who relied on its prophecies of the Messiah to proclaim their Jesus as Lord. It also allowed them to easily communicate the truths to non-Jews, like Greeks, who spoke Greek. However, purist Jews living in Jerusalem treated the Septuagint as an abomination, an idol that no true Jew should read. That's another golden calf, that. I'll have none of that here in Palestine. Now, down here in my room of records, I've been doing a little bit more of a deeper research. We've found that Hellenism has even had a direct influence on Jesus himself. If we open up this little Bible here to Matthew 4:25, we find that people were coming to visit Jesus from a region called the Decapolis. Now, this is clearly a Greek name region, as we discovered the Greek word earlier for city is polis. And Deca is 10, so it's the region of 10 cities. But that's not all. In Mark 7:24-30, Jesus gets a visit from a woman who is clearly Greek, from a Greek region, and she's begging Jesus to help her daughter. Jesus is at first not interested, telling her to go away, ignoring her, giving her the cold shoulder. But eventually Jesus is swayed by the woman's great faith. And there's even another instance. In John 12:20, we find some Greeks who are desiring an audience with Jesus. And they naturally go to Philip, one of his disciples, as Philip is one of the only disciples with a Greek name. So they go to Philip, and Philip arranges a meeting, but they have an encounter with Jesus that is beyond what they were expecting. The development of Koine, or Common Greek, to be the dominant language in the Palestine area was monumental, as this would be the language that the Gospels themselves would eventually be written in. Well, we have literally run out of time on this one, so stay tuned for the next episode where we see what happens when Greek culture oversteps its boundaries with the Jewish people, and you find out never to mess with any brothers called Maccabees, or why you should never ask a Jew to sacrifice a pig. Big no-nos. Thanks for joining me. We'll catch you next time on Jason's journey through time and taste.